When we find ourselves looking at a polynomial that perhaps has 4 or more terms, we might see if we can factor that by grouping. Now, in looking at this, this is a nightmare looking thing, isn't it? 30ax minus 24bx plus 16cx minus 5ay squared plus 4by squared minus cy squared makes me want to go back to bed. I've got 6 terms in this thing. Well, perhaps, let's see what could happen. Let's see, I got x, x, x in these first 3 terms. So maybe I'll set this up as one group. And then we've got y squared, y squared, y squared in these next 3. So we might try to set this up as a second group. All right, let's focus on this first group right here. 30ax, well, and then minus 24bx plus 6cx. And as always, first thing I want to do is to see if I can factor out a common factor. And if I can factor out a common factor from each of the 2 groups and be left with a common factor between the 2 groups, I can then factor that by grouping. So let's see. Well, I think if I factor out a 6x, not cx, 6x, what would that leave me with here on this first group? Well, 6 will go into 35 times. The x's are out, okay. 6 is going to go into negative 24, negative 4 times when we factored out the x. And 6 will go into 6cx. 6x will go into 6cx. 6 will be, leave me with just c, won't it? All right. And then let's say plus, let's do it this way. I'm getting ready to factor out the next, but I got plus negative 5ay squared plus 4by squared minus cy squared. And what I'm trying to do is see if I can end up with a common factor of this 5a minus 4b plus c by factoring something out of here. Well, I got y squareds in all 3 of those terms. This is a positive 5, and this is a negative 5. What if I factored out negative y squared? So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. Then if we factor out a negative y squared, so I got negative y squared. Well, let's see, negative y squared, take negative 5ay squared, divide it by negative y squared. It's going to leave me with positive 5a. And then if I take positive 4by squared and factor out negative y squared, that's going to give me negative 4b. I'm looking pretty good. And then I got negative cy squared, factor out negative y squared, it's going to give me plus c. And you can see now I've got a common factor. And so I can finish this thing off then by saying that I'm going to pick up this term and this term. So I've got 6x minus y squared times 5a minus 4b plus c. And if I were to multiply those 2 polynomials together, I should end up with this overall mess right here. 30ax minus 24bx plus 6cx minus 5ay squared plus 4by squared minus cy squared. And let me encourage you to try to do that. I'm not going to do it on this video for the because of the time factor, because I want to look at another 6-term polynomial to see if, and if's a word, because not always can I factor out by grouping of a polynomial 4 or more terms. All right, here's another 6-term polynomial. 13ax plus 15bz minus 15by minus 14az minus 32bx plus 14 plus 9ay. Well, I got an a term here, and I got an a term here, and I got an a term here. Then I got a b term, and a b term, and a b term. Well, I'm going to try to put this into two groups. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm going to put all the ones that I have an a variable together along with all those that I have a b variable together and see if we can make any sense of this. So I'm going to have 13ax minus 14az plus 9ay. I'm going to put that in a group. Plus, let's see, well, I could go with 18bz minus 15by minus 32bx. All right, well, let's see, 13ax minus 14az plus 9ay. On my coefficients, well, 13 is a prime number. All I can factor out is an a. That's going to leave me with 13x minus 14z plus 9y. 18, 15, 32. Well, the 18 and the 15 I could factor out of 3, but that doesn't help me with the 32. So I think all I can factor out is a z. A b, excuse me. So let's see, plus b, 18z minus 15y minus 32x, a plus b. But you see, I don't have common factors here. So this is actually a polynomial, a 6-term polynomial that I can't factor by grouping because my goal is to try to get a common factor here and here after factoring out a greatest common factor from each group. Say that again. After factoring out a greatest common factor from each grouping, I hope to end up with a common factor, but in this case I don't. And so this polynomial here I'm going to have to conclude is prime. A little bit weird, don't you think?